Why can a lack of trust be a problem in Ukraine? I think mostly because it may have the effect that people may not be sufficiently united. So the big danger is that the Democrats, the pro-Europeans inside Ukraine, is that instead of getting together, agreeing on changes that they want to make, that there will be too much infighting. And if there's too much infighting, that means it's the old forces of corruption and stagnation that will benefit from it. One thing that is important is that the more power is spread out in Ukraine, and it's already happening to a certain extent, but I'm very much in favor of decentralization, giving more decision-making powers to cities, to regions. The more you do that, then having to make decisions at a local level, in a way, is easier. One can overcome the trust problem, more easily, and then one gets used to cooperation. Because after all, lack of trust, another way of saying it is that people are not used to cooperate. Because if you don't trust each other, then you're not going to cooperate well. So people have to learn to cooperate. In democratic politics, you have to make alliances, you have to make compromises, you have to make decisions that are not your preferred decisions, but that are going to be inclusive, that are going to take into account many levels. Given the situation in Ukraine, it would be much more dangerous if you have centralization of power, because when you have concentration of power, then in that case, if there's a new Yanukovych coming to power, if there's corrupt interests, taking over that power, then you've lost. Whereas if you have independent institutions like independent central banks, independent judiciary, etc., at least you have the principles of a well-functioning democracy. And so those are the rules. In well-functioning democracy, you do have independent central banks, you have independent judiciary, and for good reasons, because even under well-functioning democracies, there are temptations of politicians to tell central bankers, please print money to give to my friends, or to tell the judges, please don't investigate this friend of mine who has been corrupt. These temptations exist. They exist in the US, they exist in France, everywhere. And so by having these rules of independence, at least you create a framework that makes it possible for a normal democracy to function. The mobilization of Ukrainian civil society I see as something of a good thing. Without that, probably there would be less reforms, and the pace of reforms, which is not very large, but still it's substantial things have happened in the last 3 years, would probably be much slower. If you don't have free, fair, and competitive elections, if you don't have a political system where there is a certain separation between the executive and the legislative branch of government, and then, of course, the judiciary branch is very important, but you cannot change the judiciary branch if the political institutions are not changing. And in a way, it's easier to elect the right people if you have the right institution. Replacing corrupt judges is a very difficult process.